So as far as vows and letter reading, I usually tell the couple, weeks before the wedding, months before the wedding, I always tell them to prepare like a letter for each other, that like they write a letter to each other on the day of the wedding so they can read it, so I can use that letter and that footage for the highlight video and for the trailer sometimes. And sometimes I just say, if you already have vows written out that you're going to read to each other, then I can just film you read those vows before we get to the ceremony. Okay, guys? So that's what I do. But some couples don't like doing that. So it depends on the kind of couples that come across. Some couples are open to the idea and some of them are not. So just respect their decision. So yes, every couple has a story, and by them writing letters to each other on the day of the wedding, most of that story, comes out. So why is this good? It's good because you can now craft the wedding film around that story, okay? At the end of the day, your job as a filmmaker is to tell the couple's story, okay? So always ask the bride and groom if they can write a letter and stuff like that. So yes, so every wedding, every couple has a story, how they met. So your job as the filmmaker is to, bring that story to life, like tell that story of the couple, how they met and stuff like that. So try and include that in the highlights, like how they met and just to craft the story. So as we go towards to the edit, I'm gonna kind of like, tell you how to do the story thing. But yeah, so it starts while you're filming, guys. Make sure you try and capture the bride and groom story as much as you can through the films, okay? So also doing this gives you options as to where to take the edit, the highlight edit. If you have the vow reading, letter reading, it gives you options in where you're gonna take the wedding edit. So yeah, so it gives you some options. And as far as production value, it ups your production value. Because when you look at the weddings that I've done with where I've added this, they look way more, put together, more cinematic. They just look way better. And their production value is just way more than ones that I usually don't do this. So doing this kind of ups your production value, guys. And just make sure you got your audio quality on point. Make sure you got a good mic and you capture crisp audio. So yeah. So as far as camera setup, as far as angles, I usually have a wide angle. I usually capture a wide angle and a close-up. But sometimes, like the last wedding I just did, all I did was capture the close-up, and then the wide angles and all those other B-roll stuff. All that was just B-roll, like the wide angle, this, that, everything else was B-roll. But I captured the main thing on the camera, the bride reading, and everything else was B-roll. Same thing with the groom. So yeah, so don't forget that you are not dealing with career actors. You're dealing with everyday people who go to jobs, regular jobs. So just tell them to relax and tell them they can always retake. They can always redo some of the words and stuff like that. Just make them feel comfortable. So that way, when they're, reading, it just flows out naturally, because I've had a lot of people mumble, stumble, and just mess up words, and they just keep reading. Like, tell them, stop. Can you please do that again? Get it clear. Like, you're not going anywhere. Just be patient and just tell them to relax, okay? But most of these regular people just want to do one shot. Like when professionals who do it for a living are like doing takes and takes, take 4, take 20, take 100. Like, so just tell them relax and, take your time, okay? Take your time. Okay, so when to B-roll. So I do B-roll after the groom is done or bride is done with the whole thing. Then I do the B-roll shots, okay? So B-roll shots of you filming this is what separates you from a lot of other people. So make sure you get good B-roll of the bride and groom reading the letter and stuff like that. I will put the behind the scenes in the bottom. And yeah, so I will also put, I'll also add how, like, what kind of shots that I take for this. So that way you can get an idea of how I make this part of the wedding cinematic, as far as shots, moving shots, still shots, stuff like that. So I'll give you guys examples so that way you can make your weddings better. Okay. So thank you, and let's move on to the next section in this module.